Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Starscartel channel. If you don't know, I'm Star. The message I heard is it's variable. So, for whoever this is for, whatever it is that you are concerned about, God is saying that this is something that can be changed. This is something that can be fixed. The scripture comes from Luke 7:31. What comparison can I use for the men of today? What are they like? They are like children squatting in the city squares, calling to their playmates. We piped you to a tune, but you did not dance. We sang you a dirge, but you did not wail. I mean that John the Baptizer came neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and you say he is mad. The Son of Man came and he both ate and drank, and you say here is a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. God's wisdom is vindicated by all who accept it. So here's the message. This is for somebody that you are feeling like there is somebody that you feel like you are looking at them with a perspective of what you assume them to be, and they are nothing like what you assumed them to be. And I'm saying this because it's like, just like how Jesus was speaking here, and he's saying that how the people, like, they saw John the Baptizer as somebody that was mad, somebody that was crazy. However, it's not even a situation where he was, it wasn't a situation where he was drinking, he was drunk, or he was, acting a fool. And then Jesus came and he ate and he drank, and they called him a glutton and a drunkard. And then they said that he was a friend of tax collectors and sinners because, he went out and he befriended anybody that wanted to be saved or had, the heart of being saved. And for whoever this is for, this is someone that is literally just doing what God has called them to do. Okay, they are in their grounds doing what God has called them to do. They not messing with nobody. They are doing what God called them to do. It's not a situation where they are trying to stand on top of a ladder and look down at anybody. It's not a situation where they're trying to make somebody feel some kind of way. This is somebody that is doing what God called them to do. And I truly feel like this is somebody that was intended to save people, and they are saving people. And it's somebody that is looking at this person feeling like they are complete opposite of what they are. They feel like they are a sinner and they cause problems. They are a troublemaker and they don't like it and they got to put an end to it. God said, okay, and I'm even thinking about how the message is, it's a variable, which means it's possible that it can change. This could be somebody, maybe this is somebody you knew from your childhood, maybe this is somebody that has known you a long time. This person think that it's impossible that you could have changed and that you got to be the same person, and it's impossible that you are who God said you are and that you were called to do what God said you called to do. God say, just because they can't change don't mean that you can't change. And and even, the other way around, if this is the person that feels this way, just because you refuse to change don't mean they didn't change, okay? And you know what I'm saying? Just because you wasn't there when God saved them, and you wasn't there when they cried out to God, and you wasn't there when they spoke with God, you wasn't there when God chose them, you wasn't there when God called them, don't mean it didn't happen. It wasn't a three-way call. It wasn't intended for you to hear it. It wasn't intended for you to see it. It really ain't none of your business. And that's the message. God said, just because you refuse to change, and I know that might ruffle some feathers, but I'm going to be real. If you somebody that you knew somebody for a long time and you feel like they just got to stay in the same place that they've been in, you expecting somebody that maybe, when they was 10 or 11, they acted a certain way, you thinking that at 30 they're going to act the same way they act at 10. You in reality, you're treating them accordingly. So you basically are acting the way you were acting at 10, 11, 12, however old you were when they were 10, and you treating them the way that you treated them back then. You are the one that didn't change. And just because you can't change don't mean they can't change. Okay? And you know what I'm saying? I just feel like that's what it is. Just because you still sitting on here holding on to a grudge 10, 20, 30 years or whatever it is, don't mean that this person here is going to still act the way that you want them to act. I just feel like God is saying you want them to act accordingly. You are expecting them to act a certain way. And because they are not acting the way you want them to act, you are mad about it. God said it is what it is. You can be mad all you want to. You can stomp on the floor. You can fall out on the floor. And you can scream to the heavens all you want to, but you are not you. Just because you don't want to change don't mean they can't change. And just because you don't want to do what God called you to do, because you can't be, if you're sitting here concerned with what somebody else is doing, doesn't mean they not going to do what God called them to do. And that's the message, regardless of how you feel. You know what I'm saying? You may sit and look at them and be like, well, they used to do this and they used to do that. And I remember when they did this, that, and the third. And I remember when they was here, there, everywhere. And I remember this, that. Don't nobody care about what you remember. That part. Don't nobody care. Don't nobody care. And don't nobody care some more. Like, I just feel like that's really what it is. God is saying don't nobody care. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody care. Just because you remember this, that, and the third, and you still stuck in 10, 20 years ago, don't mean that God did not move in this person and God has not transitioned them to become who they are today. They gonna do what God said. And that's the end of it. God said that it's not a situation where He's going to ask your approval on if they have the right to do what he asked them to. God is not asking for your approval. God is not ever going to ask for your approval when it comes to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? This is something that don't have nothing to do with whoever this for. This don't have nothing to do with them. It don't have nothing to do with them. It's frankly none of their business about what it is that God calls somebody else to do. But they want to put themselves in a position to where they can tell such and such if they can or cannot, and they can give orders. And God said it ain't none of your business what he told them to do. It ain't none of your business who he called them to be. It's not like this is none of your concern, regardless of what they used to do. God not like he saw it. Okay, he was there. He saw. He know who they used to hang out with. He know where they used to hang out, and he know all the things they used to do. And just because you feel like you know this, that, and the third, and you got this person on speed dial, and you got that person, and you can scream and you can holler and you can do you got all the pictures and all the proof and all you can have all that you want to. God say just because you refuse to change does not mean that they won't change. It does not mean that God has not changed them. It does not mean that God did not call them to do whatever it is that God has called them to do. It don't matter what they used to do. It don't matter what they used to do. And you are basically positioning yourself like a Pharisee. That's what you are doing. You are sitting, you are looking at this person, and you are feeling like they shouldn't be able to do what they are doing. They shouldn't be able to say what they can say. They shouldn't be able to be used by God, and that God would never. Who are you to feel as though you have the authority or the right to say who God can and cannot use, who God will and will not use? That ain't none of your business. God said he's not finna call you and ask you permission, period. God does what he pleases. And that's scripture. God does whatever he pleases. He's not going to ask nobody permission about who he can and cannot use, and who he will and will not touch, and who he can and cannot say. God say he's not asking you that, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? And you may be upset that God is using this person. You can be upset and bothered that like I just feel like it's somebody you having nightmares, like you restless, you can't sleep, and you concerned about how could it be possible that God is using them? How could it be possible that God did this, God did that? How is it possible? Well, if you think that it is impossible that God can save them, then that means that it's impossible that God can save you. Because I'm going to be real, if you the kind of person where you know what they used to do, and you know what they used to be, and you know who they used to hang with, you only know that because you was there. So if you feel like it's impossible that God saved them, then you should also feel as though it's impossible that God saved you. Okay? Otherwise, and that's the message. Like God saying, you can't tell God who he is and is not gonna use, and who he can and cannot. And baby, some people just be having the audacity, the cojones. Oh Lord. This somebody that got some big kahunas to question God about what he doing and why he doing it. And baby, that's the message. That's the message. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Deuces.